All right, today we are diving into an absolutely fascinating story that's flowing, quite literally, through our own veins. It's about a blood group system you've probably never heard of, but trust me, it has a truly remarkable secret to tell. And it all really boils down to this question, right? How on earth could a standard blood transfusion and the global fight against malaria possibly be connected? Well, the answer is hiding on a tiny marker on our red blood cells, and it's a story of pure evolutionary genius. Most of us know our ABO blood type, maybe our Rh status, O positive, A negative, that kind of thing. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Our blood has a much, much more complex identity than that. So think of ABO and Rh as the major players in the game. But for a transfusion to be truly safe, we have to pay attention to a whole host of minor systems as well. And today, we are zooming in on one of the most interesting of them all, the Duffy system. Okay, so let's break this Duffy system down. To really get why it's so important, we have to meet the key components first. And those are the antigens.
The Duffy system is really all about two main antigens. They're called Phi-A and Phi-B. Honestly, the easiest way to picture them is as little flags sticking out from the surface of your red blood cells. They're basically signaling what your specific Duffy blood type is.
On this image here shows the main possibilities perfectly. So depending on your genes, your red blood cells could have the A flag or the B flag or maybe both flags. Or, and you're going to want to remember this one for later, you could have no flags at all. Now, where there are antigens, there can also be antibodies. Your body makes these to fight off any flags it doesn't recognize as its own. Duffy antibodies are a specific type called IgG, which basically just means they become active at body temperature. For anyone working in a blood bank, that is an absolutely critical piece of information for safely matching blood. So we have these tiny flags. Why does a blood bank care so much about them? Well, because when a mismatch happens, the stakes get incredibly high. This is what we'd call the clinical danger zone. So here's what happens. If a patient who has the anti-Phi antibody gets blood that has the Phi antigen, it can cause some serious problems. We're talking about a delayed transfusion reaction, where the body starts attacking those new blood cells days later. It can also cause a condition in newborns called HDFN, though with Duffy, it's usually on the mild to moderate side. And all of this leads to a non-negotiable golden rule in transfusion medicine. If your body has created an antibody against a certain flag, you absolutely must receive blood that does not have that flag. It's one of the most fundamental rules for keeping patients safe. Okay, now for that twist I promised. This is where the Duffy story leaves the hospital behind and takes us to the front lines of an ancient battle between humans and a deadly parasite. You see, it turns out that little Duffy flag on your red blood cells does a lot more than just identify your blood type. It's also a doorway, a keyhole, really. And for one particularly nasty parasite, it's the key it needs to break into your cells. So here's the play-by-play. This malaria parasite, Plasmodium vivax, has to invade our red blood cells to survive and multiply. And it does this by using the Duffy antigen as its own personal docking station. It's the key that unlocks the cell door. But if a red blood cell has no Duffy antigens, well, there's no keyhole. The parasite is literally locked out. It cannot get in. And this is the punchline. That Duffy negative trait, the one with no flags at all, is incredibly common in people of West and Central African descent. And that is no coincidence. It's a powerful genetic adaptation, a survival advantage that was carved right into the human genome by the relentless pressure of malaria over thousands and thousands of years. Now, Duffy is a huge player, but it isn't the only one on the team. It's just one of several important minor blood systems. So to really see the bigger picture, let's quickly put it side by side with a couple of its cousins, Kel and Kid. What's so fascinating when you look at this chart is how you can compare the risk. As you can see, all three involve that same IgG antibody type, but the clinical impact, it varies a lot. A Kel mismatch, for instance, can cause a severe, immediate, and very dangerous reaction. But Duffy and Kid, they're famous for causing those trickier, delayed reactions. It's this level of detail that makes blood banking such a critical science. So let's recap the whole story real quick. We've got the Duffy system, with its Phi and Phi-B antigens, or flags. We've got the antibodies, which are IgG type and can cause delayed transfusion reactions. And then, the incredible twist, the Duffy negative phenotype, which gives people a powerful natural defense against a specific and very widespread type of malaria. I mean, the story of the Duffy system proves that our blood is so much more than just a fluid that keeps us alive. It's a living history book. It's a record of the ancient battles our ancestors fought and won just to survive. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible stories are just waiting to be discovered, written in our veins?